All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Fruits Basket, Season 1, Episode 25.
All right,
Okay.
This is the finale of Season 1. And last episode gave us a trip, a ridiculous, jam-packed, emotionally strained episode. So
Just a bit.
Now, armed with all this extra emotional baggage, we are going to see where they continue things with Kyo's story here, because he was brought back home in the arms of, well, the woman he loves. I
feel like this episode is either going to be super sweet or another ringer. Because it could totally be wholesome stuff where it's just them hanging out and just chilling and just being a family.
And then maybe there's a stinger at the end, or something like that.
But I could also totally see it being something where it's like, and then Akito shows up,
Like the idea of oh, you showed your form.
Right.
Yeah, I need to punish you now. It's
exactly.
Oh, shit.
Just keep the shotgun ready, just in case. But
one of the things that I would particularly like to see, though, is a Yuki-Kyo conversation about this whole thing, given that they have the most...
right.
They've been fighting like cats and rats,
So this is definitely a big
There's an opportunity here.
Right, because this is a new side of Kyo, no pun intended, and we'll get to see what that change is, basically.
Yeah, because I don't think he's necessarily changed that much yet. It's just the idea that he's now realized that she accepted him at his lowest point, at the point that he was the most scared,
when he was literally pushing her away.
Right.
Quite forcefully.
Yeah. So now that that's happened, do things go back into the goofy side of where there's almost like this
school antics and
semi-love triangle thing going on, but not really, but kinda. So or is it more the thing of where everyone's just kind of showering Kyo with love because, hey, that was a rough time, wasn't it? Yeah, but we're now all here for you, and then in some ways we might need Kagura,
Sure.
So, But y'all, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright everyone, now be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, then come back here for the discussion. That was a good episode.
I'm really glad.
So glad it was so positive and wholesome and precious and just...
because I can't say what kind of exactly how much of a number the previous episode did on me. So I was kind of dreading this reaction because it's like, oh no, it's the finale. Yeah. If they wanted to do something to top that as far as emotionally even worse.
But apparently anything like that's getting saved for season 2. Or season 3. So for now, the wonderful, wonderful interaction between Kyo and Kazuma was just everything we could have wanted and more. It was the idea of, okay, cool. He can't just say, you're effectively my son, And and yet the desire to want to thank Kazuma for all he did, but he does his thanking in the form of an apology of basically saying, hey, don't worry, I'm going to become so independent that I won't be a burden on you anymore. And it's just like, how could you be a burden to him?
I love this kind of communication because it goes to show how completely, not on the same page they were, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, Kazuma's like, I don't want to be presumptuous, right? This kid's gone through a lot and everything. That's a big thing to say. And with what I've done of forcing him to confront this, doing something that might make me lose him forever, I certainly wouldn't feel like, I deserve to think of myself as wanting to be his dad after all of this, right? Yeah. And then for Kyo, it's, well, I just bring pain to everyone around me. Yeah. So clearly I'm doing that to him too, right? And the fact that I could totally track with Kyo's, emotionally compromised logic of oh yeah, they're saying bad things about about Master. So I'm going to say, no, he's not my dad. Don't get it wrong.
Yeah.
I'm not letting you blame him for any of the shit that's going on with me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then he hears it, and it's like, oh, damn. Why he was at the school at that point, who knows? Well, yeah, probably because they called him there because he was misbehaving.
He was his guardian. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
To take care of him.
Yeah.
And then totally is it.
Right.
And it's just the idea of, okay, after all this time, he's effectively been, well, in some ways, under the guilt of not just that he didn't treat the person who had the cat spirit before the right way.
Right.
And he regrets that. But also, I think he felt the guilt also of potentially using a child as your emotional, like, anchor for kind of trying to write your own internal, moral compass or something like that. But then he ends up just loving him. And it's this wonderful, tender thing where they both feel like what they bring to the table will end up burdening the other. But just by communicating this, they're now able to call each other father and son, and it's just like,
all right. Oh, we didn't meet our hearts today.
This gets me so extra here because the idea of this one line that I'm so much of a
go for it.
Yeah. I have to break it down a little bit. People say the line, "You don't choose your family," right? And what this means literally is the whole thing of where you were born into a family. You didn't necessarily choose to have these people as your brothers, sisters, parents, whatever. But you do eventually end up choosing your family.
Right.
And this is the thing that is so powerful about growing up, is that eventually, at some point, you have the independence, you have the capability to fight your way through your own family to get to your real family. And the fact that these two found each other and have been able to be there for each other all this time, it's so precious because Kyo needed basically a real family member, a real parent here. And he has it. And because of all the stuff that has happened this season, he might be on a really good track right now.
Oh, I think so too. Because when I would understand Kyo's reasoning of being like, I don't want to be a burden to Master and everything.
Yeah.
For someone that's in a semi-regular situation, right? But with what we saw in the previous episode, that his mom killed herself because of the burden that he was to her.
Yep, exactly.
Of course he's going to do absolutely everything he can to make sure that he's not a burden to his master. And his master responds in the best way, but also a way that that I kind of come to expect from anime. That is the sort of like way for the men to still bottle up their feelings and sort of communicate in man talk of like, we spar with each other when we're wanting to express our feelings. But that's not what this was.
That's not what this was at all.
That's
not what this was at all.
It held to the appearance of that, on the barest surface,
just get
right?
to the point, man. You're killing me.
He tells him, my son,
yes.
right? In that, but also by saying, no, you're not there yet. I'm strong. It's fine. You are not a burden to me. If you think you are a burden to me, or you could be a burden to me, you've got another thing coming, right? Not in 1,000 years will you be a burden to me. And he really knows that, believes that, and feels that. And so he's telling that to Kyo in the most direct way possible, both with words, but also, with showing him that I'm a badass. Know how
strong I am.
Right, exactly.
What you would do to be a burden to me, I don't even know what that would be.
Yeah.
But my favorite line after that is then he goes, "No, Kyo, my son, you're not done causing me trouble." Yeah. What I love about this so much is it's basically the thing saying, "Son, keep failing.
Right.
Keep causing trouble. It's okay.
Yep.
I can handle it."
Right.
And also the idea that I'm not worried about whether or not the trouble is going to come. I know it's going to come. I'm not going to be sticking my head. No, well, not only that. I'm not going to stick my head in the sand and pretend that everything's going to be wonderful from here on out.
Right.
like this is so powerful as a father figure to tell your son and basically say, like, you're not done causing me trouble. And the way that, he called him son for the first time.
Right.
And then they say, did you see that just now? And Kyo's laughing. Just like I said, right? My master's strong.
Yeah.
There's like multiple levels of this that are affecting Tohru that I love so much. So Tohru, one of her big problems basically has been that she sees a need to prove herself to be worthy of love, affection, relationship, and all this other stuff. Otherwise, she sees herself as a burden.
Right.
Thus, in some ways, she gives so much that it's actually unhealthy.
Yep.
Because she got to see this really healthy example of what it's like to have the thing that she in some ways probably resonates a lot with Kyo, the desire to not be a burden by, basically like trying to get strong, to become more competent at all these things. And to see that basically be like lovingly pushed aside and be like, no, son, like you're going to cause me way more trouble, but I'm strong. Don't worry about it. And the ways in which this might have shown something for Tohru where she can be like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, this is not just something that Kyo can gain from here. I'm seeing myself a little bit in this situation. And there's something where she could monumentally grow if this gets like born in her. Like there's something like rests deep.
Right, and I get the feeling she might not fully understand that yet because she's such an empath, basically, that it's like she gets the feeling of it, but will probably need to basically explore it and figure out exactly.
Well, yeah, she'll need to do some introspection for sure. I'm just meaning more that because she was exposed to it, because she's an empath, she might actually get it so innately
that she
right
never
out the
forgets
gate
it.
that she like never forgets it because it's been so powerfully put on display.
Yeah.
And the way in which she smiles and agrees with him with regards to all this other stuff, in my opinion, means that she did get a chunk of it because she's not agreeing with just the idea that he's strong.
Right. It's
the thing of, no, I saw you two reconnect here. I saw a family be born again almost here. I saw
whatever happened here. Yes. You know
exactly. I saw something incredible, and I don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And that was just at the beginning of the episode.
That was just the beginning of the episode,
half, right?
Nice little opening spot here. I'm glad that we didn't get the OP to give us all this extra time this episode. Now, Yuki gets the focus for pretty much the rest of the episode.
Yeah.
So, okay. We show a little bit of a fight of sorts after this to show that there's, some comedy potential still going on with them scrapping with each other.
Yep.
But also that Kyo is not as violently aggressive, even though he can't stand Yuki in a lot of ways. But Yuki basically bookends this little section here with the idea of him tying his tie and then tightening it at the very end of the episode. Right. So this is something to show that he's got a handle on himself on some level. That's obviously a vague way of describing it, right?
Yeah, but it's
But the way he describes it is something where he's getting better, he's growing, he's learning, he's more than who he was in episode 1.
Yeah, because like if Kyo's struggle is to resolve things within himself, but also basically figure out his
own worth.
Right, his own worth, but his relationships with other people and how he interacts with them. Yuki's is more of figure out my relationship with myself.
Sure.
Right? Like there's a lot of negative self-talk and just all sorts of crazy emotions and things because of all the stuff that happened with Akito and things like that, where he needs to figure out how to take care of Yuki, right? And so that's something that he's been working on, and even if it's things that seem small to him, right? I really loved how at the end of the episode when he's talking to Tohru, he's so self-deprecating in a way that not I like that he's self-deprecating, but it shows his internal state, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, I'm not really cool. It's like, okay, first off, do you need to be cool? 2, half the student body would vehemently reject that, at least half the student body, right? They've signed petitions about that,
Right.
And of course he's nervous because he also likes Tohru and he wants to be able to tell her someday. But it's you're doing just fine. And the fact that he's able to acknowledge the little bits of progress that he's made, even though he doesn't see them as being that big, that's important.
Yeah, he describes it to Haru as he's fighting to move forward.
Right.
Now, what I think is interesting there is he's not saying that he's moving forward. It's saying that he's having difficulty with moving forward. He is having to struggle in that regard. Now, what I think is maybe a cool kind of way to focus this here by having Kyo's portion of the story kind of, be in the beginning and then Yuki's be here, is that, well, in some ways, Kyo is also not just necessarily fighting to move forward, but he just had a big fight, if you will, within so that he could move forward. And he won.
Right.
Like, in some ways, he got the first, big win in this whole fight that you guys both have, as you're both struggling to grow, as you're both learning from Tohru, as you're both needing Tohru, but then also learning how to be more independent outside of Tohru. There's something here where you can almost feel like he is feeling like a burden, maybe, to Tohru.
Oh, sure.
And it's this thing of where, no, I'm just trying to fight to move forward.
Right.
So at the end of the episode, when he's walking up the stairs, each of those steps is his struggle. That's him trying to move forward. Eventually, he gets up to her, and he starts, putting on the charm and stuff.
Right.
But the stuff that he uses as a metric to show that he's actually moved forward on some level are all these things in which, well, they're kind of minor little details, little things like the gardening, the necktie. I wonder really though if this is a thing of where he needs to have this end in a confrontation versus a confession.
With Akito?
With Akito, yeah. I think his thing is he's getting his shit in order, basically, so that inevitably he can go back and stare his fear in the face.
Right. So that he can do the thing that Kyo just did.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And that's because one of the things that's kind of confused me a little bit over the course of this, not confused me, but I've always wanted to see kind of the internal mechanisms for it, is why does Yuki agitate Kyo so much? When he intentionally agitates him, right? Adding the bakaneko and things like that, right? And in this episode, it seemed like it was something where it's the...
Oh. I think we've already kind of discussed the main reason why we think that is because there's still a past thing when they were kids that we still don't know with the hat. We don't know what that was.
Oh, sure.
But the most likely thing, I think, is that that's what Hana was kind of looking at with Kyo back when, and Kyo did do something but yeah.
But if Yuki didn't know about Kyo's form before just the previous episode, that potentially changes things. But with regards to, from the standpoint of the emotional conflict, right? If you take the physical things and the verbal things that they do to each other as a manifestation of basically the emotional rivalry that they kind of have going, right?
Because Yuki's problem is that he can't have emotions in small doses. He gets too much of them.
They both want what each other has, right? And
okay.
Or that's what they've determined to be desirable, right? With Yuki being the one who is in the Soma family, Kyo wanted to get in the Soma family.
Right. Uh-huh.
Yuki wants to get out of the Soma family. Kyo was ostracized, right? So forcibly, pushed away, right? So he's like, that's what I want, that's what you want,
Yeah, I definitely get that.
And then once Tohru gets added to the mix, then it gets even more complicated because cute girl that we both like, right? And how do we deal with our feelings, because all of this stuff is happening. And here I feel like it was something where he was comparing himself to Kyo a bit.
Yeah,
Maybe.
He didn't do that overtly, though.
He didn't do it overtly.
That's a bit of a three-step read from us, though.
I don't know about three. Okay, I disagree on the three-step part, but yeah, it's definitely a reading into of the things that are happening. But the fact that he's being so down on himself with the little things that he has done feels like and the fact that we're getting that now could totally just be because finale. Let's touch base on all the characters, see where they're at, right? And maybe this is something that has happened a lot in the past, and we just don't see it because it's not relevant.
Okay.
But given that Kyo just had a massive breakthrough, I wouldn't be surprised if suddenly he's like, oh, this is the kind of shit that he was dealing with, and I'm trying to make sure I know how to do my tie, right? Like, and then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, those are just little things. No, but there's still things that I'm doing, right? And that might be some of the reasons why, in this episode in particular, Kyo seemed to get on his nerves more than usual. In addition to the whole thing of he might have clued into the fact that
I think he definitely clued into the fact that because literally she had a bandage on,
yeah. So
he hurt her.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, hence the whole line of, I don't think I'll be able to, I think I'll hate him as long as I live,
Yeah, after I die. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stuff with Haru, though, basically saying, I need to keep a lid on things, a tight one. See, he does know about the true form. Yeah, that was what I was wanting to say.
No, yeah, but that he didn't necessarily know before this episode.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And hence, now he's realizing he needs to keep a lid on things about the true form and all that.
Gotcha. Yeah, and he's really frustrated about this whole thing. That definitely could have been the case. Yeah, but when he basically realizes here, right before he's about to reach her, he says, "But I've got a long way to go."
Right.
Sorry for worrying you. A lot of things I can't tell you. I hope that little by little I'll gain the courage to tell you. And doesn't say anything. And she just goes, okay. Mm-hmm. And the idea that all this stuff of the summer and living and going out and doing this stuff, I feel like this is another example of where her light, if you will, the warmth that she brings, the love that she brings, is the thing that he desperately needs in this kind of instance here. It is like his strength. It is something that he's relying on. And we talked about this like multiple times, and just the idea that if he confessed right here, he might tarnish some aspect of that.
Oh, right, yeah, because it's something where he's working on becoming independent. Mm-hmm. He knows he's not there yet. Mm-hmm. So he would be too dependent on Tohru's answer.
Exactly.
Positive or negative, right?
Yeah.
It's just it's something that he doesn't want to go there yet. So, hence the lack of courage.
Yeah. And then these two characters walk up the stairs and they obscure their faces from the audience.
Literally puts a thing in to hide his face. Yeah.
Yeah. What's all that about?
Characters for season 2, I guess. At first I thought it might be something where like there was going to be a tie-in to the other black-haired girl that was like at the end of the episode. Well, but no, this girl has like a dark green hair and it's much shorter.
Wait,
so
green hair?
Yeah, it's like a
no, that's black.
No, but it's like that anime thing where it's like it's black, but it's like
black. It's
but it's like got that slight like dark green.
Right, I know, but that's more of like a
to make it so that not all the black hair looks the same for all the characters in the show, kind of a thing.
But you also don't do jet black. You have to show lighting. So
sure,
usually green is the one that they choose for light black. Because there's no such thing as light black.
Right. But either way. Well, yeah, no. As a comparison,
yeah, it's the lighting though. But either way, she looked similar-ish.
Right, but the hair was definitely a different length at the very least.
Yeah. So Rin here.
Yeah.
Either another character that almost looks a little bit like what's her name from I can't communicate. Komi. It almost looks like Komi a little bit actually. Huh. just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. But she's in the hospital, and she mentions something called gureni. So that's a person.
Yeah.
Because that suffix is specifically for like a person that's like you've got some kind of connection with.
And I want to say because I think we'd counted them up, and there was either one or two zodiacs left. So potentially she's like one of the other members of the zodiac that could be basically since Akito is like probably the end game antagonistic force within the Soma family.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll be like the person in the Soma family that is definitely antagonistic to Tohru and will take more than just like an episode or two to have it be resolved, but isn't like necessarily a vehement enemy like Akito.
Yeah, and we could also have people in the Soma like overall like estate and stuff that aren't actually Zodiac members that could be not a fan of the way things are going.
Right.
With Tohru being so influential on the main members of the family through the Zodiac and stuff. Yeah, I've never felt so like stinger set up for like a season 2 kind of thing, and yet also felt like this was a series finale in a weird way.
Right. Well, because I mean, I was expecting that kind of scene to be just Akito, right?
Right.
But instead, we get something of Akito sleeping on Shigure's lap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is interesting, and Shigure's just looking at him like he's deep in thought.
Yeah. He's just pensive. He's not saying anything. But then everyone else is giving their little voiceover. I can feel it coming. Something's like coming up my throat. Something crazy. And then Tohru just sees it as like, something so big it leaves me speechless. I loved the difference in that they all see it as like some dark, almost like
mysterious,
abyss.
And therefore we're apprehensive.
Whereas Tohru sees it as something potentially wonderful and full of hope and life. And it's like, all right, okay, these are the
season 2's coming, and with it a lot of character development. It's going to be wonderful. It sounds scary.
Yeah, because the character development is primarily going to happen to us.
Oh no! Yeah,
I really think that that's the thing where if they wanted to shift the focus around a little bit, because we're not introducing Soma family members necessarily as much. Like, we could definitely still do that. I think one of the cool things that they could do as a focus is have things tied to the characters changing, because now the new season is upon us of like summer,
right?
And thus there's a lot of ways in which we could have slice of life fun stuff, but also have the characters then kind of put into action a lot of the things that they've learned over the course of the last season or so, or year plus, basically, because this is now Toru's second year,
right?
Yeah. So that's its own whole thing as well. But okay, all right, season 1, Fruits Basket, we completed it, and
it wasn't as emotionally draining as the previous episode. And thank goodness.
Yeah, I love father-son stuff in general, but I even more so love father-son stuff where they're not actually family.
Exactly.
They're not
found family. Yeah.
Found family is just that's the good shit right there.
Yep.
And this show is just full steam ahead in that department.
That's right.
So give us more of that. Like
exactly.
That is lifeblood.
It is indeed.
Yeah. So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get on early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about the show, about anime in general, and also be sure to check out our Twitch channel.
We stream every weekday. The info's in the description.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.